Howdy guys, welcome back. Ruckus here with another Tall Talk episode. Tall Talk 11 this time. Let me tell you all about Donald Trump. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do it to you again. We've got a lot to get through today. Topics including the ping in Australia, which is effed up the A once again. The M60 reward tank, the Blitz fair, and the Swedish Stridsvagn, plus more. Let's kick it off with a discussion on the latest Blitz controversy, the public relations disaster, classic wargaming snafu balls up that is the M60 reward tank. If you've been living under a rock for the past month or haven't been on the forums, you may not have heard about this. The M60 is a premium credit earning coefficient, that is, premium American tier 10 medium tank. It is pretty much an upgraded M48 pattern with a big dopey looking searchlight on the front of the turret and one of those overdone Blitz camo schemes. A couple of weeks ago, a number of players got this message in their garage: "Tanker, thank you for your continuing interest, intense battles and excellent accomplishments in World of Tanks Blitz. As a reward for your in-game progress, we've added the American tier 10 medium M60 to your garage. Onward to new victorious battles." Fair enough. Where's the controversy in that, you would think? An M60 for enjoying the game and for your continuing interest. Surely that covers a huge swath of the player base. Where's the controversy in that? Well, only a few people got the M60, and when these things started cropping up in tier 10 battles, players who didn't get them asked the obvious question: why didn't I get mine, and why did you get yours? Players who did get the M60 only had a vague response, no real explanation as to why they got their machine, and Wargaming only added fuel to the fire with vague explanations that it was for their most valued and dedicated players, leaving the forums to speculate as to what that might mean. And even now, weeks after its release, we still have no official explanation as to what the selection criteria was to determine who got this machine. The general consensus is, going off the limited information given out by the company and a review of the players who actually got the M60, was that it was given out to the highest spenders in the game, which is a fairly dickish selection criteria. But if they had just come out and said that, people would have moved on fairly quickly. It's the lack of information given out that's pissed everyone off. Because how do you determine who is your most valued and dedicated player? Obviously, if you are someone who's played 30,000 games and started playing on the day of its release, you would be a dedicated player. If you are a constant contributor to the forums, giving out advice and helping people out with their problems, surely you are valuable to the game. Maybe you've only bought the occasional premium tank, or perhaps only, quotation marks, spent a couple $100. Is that not valuable? What if you run, say, a YouTube channel, or a statistics site, or something else in your spare time that's based around Blitz, and you do it mainly for the love of the game, not for any monetary reward? Are you not valued? Are you not dedicated to the game? This is what's pissed people off the most. It's the lack of information given out and the vagueness of how you determine how these people who did get the machine are more valued or more dedicated than the people who didn't get it. Now, before we go any further, I just want to make it clear that this isn't a big gripe by me. I didn't get the M60 in Blitz, but I don't really care. I'm not salty about it at all. I've actually got the M60. This is mine running around the battlefield here on World of Tanks PC, where it was given out as a Clan Wars reward tank. The criteria was very clear at the time. I can't remember it now because it was years ago, but if your clan took part and did well and you contributed by playing in a set amount of games, you got the machine as a reward. No big deal there, no controversy. But this vague release in Blitz has left a lot of people, rightly so, asking, where's mine? Why didn't I get it? This is what I've done in the game. This is how long I've played for. This is what I've spent. Why wasn't it enough? And Wargaming's non-answers have turned what could have been a small annoyance for most people into a major insult. Whilst I'm not upset about not getting the machine, I do have to ask the question as well, why didn't I get it? Because I've spent hundreds on this game. I don't know the exact amount, but hundreds on the game, and I've played more or less consistently, with a few rage quits, since the game's release. And whilst I wouldn't expect it to be factored into an equation like this, I've spent literally thousands on the hardware and software required to run this channel, and given up huge amounts of my time to boot. So yeah, why? What was the criteria? I want to know. But even more than that, I'd like to know whether they determined that this campaign or release or whatever it was successful for them. I mean, from outwards appearance, it appears like a massive cock-up. Like, you know, you've got a decent amount of the community up in arms about the whole thing. Heaps of negativity being cast around on the forums. Yes, you've got a small percentage of players who are very happy, I suppose, with their new machine, but they don't really know what they've done to deserve it. And the players who didn't get it but want it can't be sure what they need to do in future to earn it. So it just appears like a net loss for the company. I don't really get it. But what if this is all what they wanted? If this is a successful outcome for them? They wanted the furor and the angst and all the extra activity on the forums. They wanted to cast a general sense that if you spent highly, you would be rewarded. Yeah, we'll piss some people off, but by this stage, if they're still playing, they're so hooked on the game that they'll keep playing and they'll keep spending whatever they're spending anyway, so to hell with them. I wouldn't put it past wargaming. I honestly wouldn't. The cynic in me says that this is potentially what they've done. It's a bit of a carrot and stick method. A somewhat more forgiving theory was proposed by Mehliveat, much more articulately than I could do here over on the Asia forums. I'll link this in. It's quite a good argument. He's always good for a well thought out argument. He says, or he thinks, that the whole thing was just raw, cold, hard analytics. Wargaming put together a bunch of metrics, all tailored towards finding and rewarding the high spenders with the aim of giving them an extra push in that direction to continue doing what they're doing, and that they simply overlooked or didn't anticipate the amount of negativity that the whole plan would bring about. That's also possible. I mean, we do know wargaming cock up quite often, so that simply could be what it is. They've also announced that this won't be the only time that they release the M60, so if you are dead keen on getting one, you will still get another crack at it in future. And whilst I wouldn't be surprised, I also wouldn't expect them to release it in the same manner that they've done here. But that's enough about the M60 and all its controversy. Let's move on now to the ping situation here in Australia, which, Western Australia anyway, where the single Cat5 data cable that constitutes my half of this country's data connection to the outside world has somehow been damaged again. In early December it was damaged, meaning all of our data is being routed to Singapore by way of, I don't know, maybe London. And we're back up to about 230 average ping, which isn't great. I seem to be getting into a lot of one-on-one fights where myself and my enemy are both down to a one-shot kill, and I go to fire the killing blow and I click the mouse and then there's a pause and then I die because ping. Does my head in. But it has been worse. When I first built this computer that I'm playing on now, to get the whole thing set up, I just bought a $30 Wi-Fi card, and it was not up to the task of reaching my lounge room with a stable connection. I'm showing some footage here. This is not edited. This is how some of my games turned out, and not all of them. Sometimes it worked fine. I don't know what it was, but occasionally I had these enormous lag spikes where for 3 or 4 seconds, maybe even more, the tank would just dive into the ground or fly off into the air. So don't skimp on your Wi-Fi cards, kids. And if possible, don't do Wi-Fi at all. If you're gaming, what I've done is bought a 25-meter roll of bright green Cat5 cable. I've run that from my modem in the lounge room all the way around the lounge room, down the hallway, and into my bedroom. It's all tucked into skirting boards and under door frames. In some places the bright green pokes out, but I now have a stable connection. And it's not great, 230 is not great, but it's decent, it's playable. If you're also here in WA and you're wondering when these repairs are going to happen, you can hit up the Vocus website, which I'll link in the description. It's got all the details of the repair status. The cut is 1,125 kilometers away from Singapore, and on the 17th of the 12th it was announced that the cable ship Asian Explorer was assigned to the repair operations. Repairs slated for 8th to the 12th of Jan, which is right now. So hey, my ping might improve any day now, you never know. And here's something I forgot to mention at the start of the video. Check out this here by Wargaming NA. Their World of Tanks YouTube channel puts out some really good videos, all kinds of stuff. This one is a tutorial on, it's called How Does It Work? Armor Penetration, and it is probably the best video I've ever seen on the mechanics of the game. It does a really, really good job of explaining how it all works. So if you're new to the game, I would absolutely recommend that you check this video out. And even if you're a master at the game, you play 30,000 games and you know all the penetration mechanics and all how it works, I would still recommend checking it out because it is a really well done video. I will link that in the description. This is it playing here, if it all fits into my video. And yeah, I recommend check that out. And now on to the Blitz fair, which is still ongoing. There's still a week left on that vehicle auction thereabouts. So plenty of vehicles, heaps of vehicles actually still up for grabs, well over 8,000 on most types, if you have the required tickets, which I don't. I ground out the Stritzwagen, and what little tickets I did have I put towards standard cases. Got mainly credits, I think, so pretty much all credits, and the tier 3 captured French Saumur, I think it is. It's a German now, Panzerkampfwagen S35 739. Kind of the precursor to the B2. And that's about all I get out of the Blitz fair, besides the Stritzwagen, that is. I'm not going to do any auctioning of vehicles. I don't have the tickets, and whilst I could burn through some free XP, I don't know, everything seems quite expensive and I just don't need tanks that much. It was suggested by someone that I use my free XP to unlock the Type 62, which would be fun. I do want that machine, but I think it worked out to about 350,000 at free XP, and I don't have quite that much. I've got about 140, I think. Would have been 170 at the start of the week, but I rushed my way to the Top Gun on the Conqueror, that L1A1. Cost me about 30,000 free XP, and it is worth it. If you get sick of playing that 20-pounder pop gun, the L1A1 is miles apart in playstyle. It's one of the best tier 9 guns out there. So the Stritzwagen, that's the tier 6 Swedish. Auto-loading, oscillating turret medium tank, and it's a decent little machine. The powder weight on the engine is very underwhelming, moves around more like a heavy than a medium, but the gun's pretty punchy. It's got a decent pen and 160 alpha damage per shot, which adds up to, maths don't fail me now, 540 is it? Yeah, we'll go with 540 for a clip. And it's good practice as well if you are looking forward to the French, which I think have been leaked or previewed. They are coming soon, and all of their high tiers have oscillating auto-loading turrets, so it pays to get some practice in with those because they do play a bit differently. The bursty playstyle is very unique to autoloaders. You have to have an exit strategy after every engagement, and you really need to know what your total clip damage potential is. You don't want to be stuck in a one-on-one engagement during a reload with someone who you've left on 50 hit points, because you will regret it. And those oscillating turrets all share the same annoying trait of having very limited gun elevation. If you've played the new T57 line, you probably already experienced this. Those oscillating turrets do not elevate very high, and your machine does not need to be on much of a downward slope for you not to be able to point that gun level. It can catch you out. So good practice, that machine, for the upcoming French line, and just a good machine in general. It's quite fun to play. Elsewhere in Blitz, I've been derping around in the BT7 artillery, which is a pretty fun little machine in a tier 3 game. You can easily do 1,000 damage. That HE is devastating to tier 2 and tier 3 machines, but get yourself in a tier 4 battle and the enemy does not need to have much armor before you start doing 30 damage every 15 seconds. I'm up to the T21, the little light tank on the Type 50. I keep saying Type 57, T57 line. It's slow. I don't really like it that much, but I did like the Cheeto, the tier 6 Japanese medium. I didn't think I'd enjoy it at all, but I tell you what, upgraded with a full crew, that thing has a decent DPM and you can really catch your enemies out. I don't think they weigh it up correctly, and you can kind of get it hull down. It doesn't have a strong turret, but it's got good gun depression, and in the right spot with enemies out in the open, it just eats them up. It's really good. So I've just sold that, bought myself a Cheery, with all that Blitz fair credit I had. I was up to 32 million. So back down to 30 million now. Poor man again. And Cheery is stock. What else is stock? Oh god, I've got some crap at tier 8. The T28 and the T28 prototype. Oh, just too slow for Blitz. It's terrible. I will be grinding the ×2 on those for months to come. They are stock and terrible. The AT15 is maxed out and I'm on the final grind of the Tortoise. And whilst I do love that machine, in the right situation, it's just so much fun and it works so well. But, you know, you play it, guaranteed your team is shit, they fall apart, and you do 4,500 damage before getting overwhelmed at the end of the game. It is a fantastic machine for glorious defeats, but not good for your win rate. And make sure you turn Supremacy off when you play it because, God, it's not fast. SU-101 at tier 8 as well is, I'm halfway towards the Top Gun. That's the 122mm, and it's okay. I'm playing it quite a bit now that it's the crew skills are up there. But it's not very flexible, obviously. It doesn't have much armor, and the gun depression is horrible, -4 degrees. Not as horrible though as, I have to say this, I don't know if I'm going to do an episode on it or not, but the Stuart Emil is the biggest pile of shit in the entire game. There is nothing good. Yes, it has good gun depression, but try using that in any map. Oh, it is just the worst tank above tier 6. Probably, it'd have to be worse than the Churchill gun carrier, surely. And I bang out that thing all the time. Stuart Emil is too slow. It has no armor. It's the first to die as soon as it's spotted, and your team just leaves you behind. It's just crap. I mean, yeah, it's not fully upgraded yet. I don't have the Top Gun, but I can't imagine it's going to be much better. Yeah, you do more alpha damage, but you still die as soon as you get spotted. I do not like the Stuart Emil. And the tier 9, my object 704 is maxed out on the grind of the 268, not far away. Same with the Centurion 7/1. The E50 is still on the long barrel, I think it's 88. With the 105 not far off, about 20k. And the Conqueror, as mentioned before, I rushed my way up to the L1A1, and now I'll probably play that more than anything else in the high tiers because it is glorious. Very good machine. And that's about it for the Blitz news. My time at the moment is split between Blitz itself, a new game I've got, Planet Coaster, which is kind of like the spiritual successor to the Rollercoaster Tycoon series of games. You know, you build your theme park, put the rides in it, customize the shops, send people off on sickeningly high G rides. Really good fun, very customizable, and sucking up a lot of my creative energy. Don't have much left for video production itself. Besides those two things, I'm back on Netflix. I've got a new TV series I'm watching called The Expanse. It's one of those Netflix originals, kind of like a sci-fi mystery, Earth versus the people who live on Mars versus the people who live in the asteroid belt, that kind of thing. Really well done. For a TV series, really well done for a fairly low budget production. Although I love a good sci-fi, I really find it difficult to get into them sometimes because the physics is so often poorly portrayed. I've got a pretty keen interest in science and space itself, so I understand how it works. But when, say, Star Trek fly their ships around as if they're fighter jets in an atmosphere, or someone's engines are left on as if they need to be to hold that position in space, or someone calls a goddamn planet 10 light years away and has a real-time conversation as if you can do that, it does my fucking head in. I can't watch it. But The Expanse, the guys behind The Expanse do a really good job of making a realistic space setting, and I quite enjoyed it. It's been pretty good so far. It's not perfect. It's hard to portray weightlessness with strings and wires and a bit of CG, but they do a good job. So that's The Expanse. It's based on a book called Leviathan Wakes, which is by James Corey, and I recommend. I'm watching it at the moment. I'm almost done with it, and it's pretty good. And I could probably keep droning on for a while, guys, but I've got to get this audio wrapped up, slap some video onto it, and get it done by Friday afternoon because I'm catching a flight back over the East Coast for that late family Christmas that we got planned. That's this weekend and next weekend coming, and then back to Perth again for business as usual. My brother, he's been living with me for the past month and a half now, but he's just packed up shop. He's done with Perth. He's been here for 5 years. He kind of followed me over ages ago, but never really settled. So he's off to Melbourne by way of our hometown of Wagga for this Christmas thing. But he's packed up his entire life here, which wasn't much. He had a computer and, I don't know, a few shirts. He's packed it all into his Ford Fiesta, and he's driving I don't know how far it is. It's about 3,500 kilometers. It's going to take him 3.5 days. As of today, the 10th, this video is taking me 3 days to record, but it's the 10th now, and he has just stopped for the night. He's been driving for like 11 hours, and he's not even he is halfway, but he's nowhere near the edge of West Australian border yet, so he's got a while to go. Hopefully he makes it in one piece. I still haven't bought a bloody board game for the family. I'm going to get Settlers of Catan, I think. Get the easy way out. It's pretty popular. I bought the parents a sous vide cooker. It's like an immersion cooking technique where heat's like sealed in a vacuum bag for hours at a time. It comes out really succulent. And I bought myself the new DJI Mavic drone, which was supposed to take 4 to 6 weeks to get here, but I got a DHC courier notification this afternoon saying it was due to get here on Friday, which is just before I fly out for the farm. So super excited for the potential for that to turn up just before I head home. Be able to really stretch that thing's legs, or wings as it is, if I can pick that up before I get home. So fingers crossed. And I am going to leave it here, guys. Thank you very much for checking in, and well done if you've made it this far. Welcome to 2017. I hope you've all got your New Year's resolutions planned, and this year is successful and happy for you all. Good luck in it. Ruckus out. Peace.